Hey guys, Gameboy 3800 here once again, back with the ultimate rare, Holy Grail machine, the Voodoo Envy H201. Last time we got this in, gave it a little bit of a rebuild, powered it up, and it's good to go. We fixed the display not coming on, we gave it new memory. I've done a little bit more work on it. I've added a couple hard drives to put into RAID mode, and I gave it 8 GB of memory. And I got Windows 7 onto it, and while it was doing all 120 updates, the power cut out for a half second. But it's got no battery, so yeah. So, in order to avoid turning this on, we're going to go ahead and do a quick clean out and rebuild. Again, we're going to take out all the heatsink stuff, give it new thermal paste and thermal pads, maybe on the video card as well. Why? Just so that it runs as good as it can. It is hard to remember what screws are on the bottom panel here. It is missing a couple. This one, in fact, seems to be not even screwed in at all. What is this? I believe the other guy I was bidding against for this machine actually found the unboxing video and said it was cool. So, hey man, thank you. I promise I'll do my best to take care of this and bring it back to its former glory. Alright, I need a good spot to put this. I found a good spot to put this. And I have found an issue that we do need to address. The screw thing has fallen out. Is it like that for any other screws? I don't see any screws holding on to their little locker for dear life, so yeah, this is a small setback. It will require the use of some super glue, which I do have. So, yeah, that's not good. At least it looks like an easy enough fix. Ooh. I don't know what happened there. I guess the box is being dumb. Looks like an easy enough fix. We just put something underneath it so that, you know, the glue doesn't drip onto the board and kill stuff. And then we just put the little piece back in place. And yeah, let the glue do its thing. I gotta keep this in a good spot. I don't believe this is magnetic. It kind of is. It will stay in there, I believe. I'll leave that over there. For now, though, let's get into the main point of this video. This machine runs pretty warm. Let's try to fix that, shall we? Alright. One of the reasons why we might be running warm is because we are missing a heatsink screw. Yep, we are missing one screw that goes right here. Doesn't add any structural integrity or anything to the heatsink, but it does help make better contact with the VRM right there. So I should be able to use one of the other Voodoo Envy screws for this. I will test when we are putting this back together. Thankfully all of these screws come out without a hassle. Now, it's time to do the pull. There we go. Easy. Undo the 2 screws here. It does look like it was fairly recently replaced on the thermal compound, but it also looks like it's missing some heat pads, and that is not good. I will try to replace them. My main focus now, though, is to take out the fans. Yep. You can see more of the green paint on the inside here. Look at that. It's a heavy machine. I shouldn't do that too much. I'm going to move this slightly aside so that I can have the fans here on the table. Alright, do I have a smaller screw bit? That one's bigger. That one's also bigger. What about this one? That one should be small enough. Alright, I need to use a different screwdriver for this because it's a different size. I use this mini one here. And that's also not doing me too well. Let me get my little toolbox and get the right size bit. Alright, I got the right one. Now we can easily remove the screws here. These are very small. Let's try not to lose them. The reason why I'm taking this machine apart this way is because it didn't feel like it had a lot of airflow coming out. So I want to investigate the inside part of the heatsink. And the best way to do that is to take away the fan from the heatsink. This one screw is being stubborn, but, you know, I have to deal with it. There we go. And, there were some dust bunnies in there. And let me just quickly look through the VRM heatsink one. There doesn't seem to be any dust bunnies in that. Here's our little fan here. Now, how do I get rid of the dust bunnies? Do I have any easy way to do this? I'll figure something out. Let's see if I can get a good shot for you guys. I don't know, hopefully in one of these angles you can catch this head of some dust bunnies. Maybe down the other side. I don't know. Let me see if I can clean this out. I don't know what I'll do yet. But yeah. Alright, I actually ended up taking out both fans just to clean the insides because the inside of the heatsink was actually kind of dirty. So I've taken the cap of my rubbing alcohol thing here and filled it up and have been using some folded up toilet paper to get all around the insides to make sure it's a clean surface, and now we just have the fans to do. It should be easy enough. I'm going to get a new rectangle of TP. And I'll just go ahead and lightly brush over each fan to make sure that they will not just throw the dust that they already have still on them, right back into the heatsink to make more dust bunnies. One more fold. Here we go. I'm going to use it kind of like a paintbrush here. And just go in between each fan blade here. It won't take a lot of rubbing alcohol here to And I get these fan blades nice and clean again. You can see here that it's working quite well. To make sure that no alcohol has gotten into the motor and wiring here, I will leave it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes to make sure all the alcohol evaporates, because, you know, that's all it takes. And that's a good thing I can do. I can just rip off the used piece and do another dip. In fact, we have used up our little supply here. Fill it back up. Now, if rubbing alcohol spills on any electrical component, that's okay. It's not conductive. We just need to let it evaporate, and we'll be good. Looks like we're almost done with this fan blade here. This fan, I should say. Rip the end off. Give it another dip. Alright, that seems to be it. I'm just gonna do a nice little second over for some of the ones I missed a little bit on. Now, with this being the only set of fan blades I have, I gotta be careful not to bend or break any of these, because that would not be helpful. And there we go, that one is about as good as new. The other one being even smaller, should take less time. Yep, smaller with less fan blades. Yeah. Yeah, doing this to just a processor makes me think, well, I should really do to the graphics card too. So we'll do that as well. Let the graphics card heatsink get some love as well. Repaste it, repad it, all that stuff. Make sure it'll run as good as it can, even though I don't intend on the Quadro being its permanent card. I would love to get a pair of 7950 cards to fully upgrade this, because I've never had a fully upgraded dual core unit. The last dual core unit I had was a Eurocom unit, and it only had the same Quadro card. So I would like to have a fully spec'd one just to see what a dual core model like this can do. It'll be the most powerful Clevo-based Alienware-esque thing ever. Alright, we will let that sit now for a while. I've also cleaned off the old thermal paste here. We will go ahead and leave these aside here. We're going to not lose the fan screws. The big fan seems like it could use another pass over. Sometimes one go over isn't enough, so, you know, we have plenty of time, we have plenty of battery life on the camcorder. In fact, we have infinite because we're plugged in. And if I need to make space, so be it. I'm fine with this being a 3 or 4 hour video. refill for the alcohol, just to make sure we've got as much loaded onto here as possible. And I go over a little bit more aggressively on these fan blades individually, just to make sure that they are as clean as possible. The cleaner they are, the better the airflow, the cooler it'll run. While the processor is exposed, I can see exactly which model it is to see what stepping it's got. Because there's two variants of the 2 GHz chip. One's got some A stepping, I believe. Not sure which is really better, but it would be nice to look it up and find out if it's really a good chip or not. Regardless, I'm going to be putting in a 2.3 or a 2.4 GHz chip eventually. There we go. This fan's looking a lot better now. Alright, that can go be with its friend. Take the end off and leave that there. I'm going to use the magnetic screwdriver here to pick up all the screws and put them next to the fans. Same for the heatsink screws. They can go play with the other screws as well. And for now, let's seal off the alcohol so that we can use the table here again. Now, as we saw on the arrival video for this, it's only a few screws to take out a video card. I imagine it'll be a little bit more to get the video card free. I do not know if the video card has been rebuilt other than the second set of thermal pads that it came with. Because it looks like the processor heatsink did have some new thermal paste, but poor thermal pads and not a full clean out of the fan blades. So, yeah. And there we go. Alright, we can now move this back away. And we have a number of screws here. I don't know if we need to remove all of them. It looks like we might need to, so let's just do it. We've got 3 on this heat pipe. Looks like this heat pipe leads over the memory, and this heat pipe is... okay. For sure, this video card's been rebuilt because none of the screws have a brand new thread. That's kind of discouraging. Can I even get them out? This is the smallest screw bit I have. You can see it's a tiny thing. I'm taking a look around the card here, and it does seem to be using, you know, not 10-year-old thermal pads, so, you know, that's a plus. It looks like I am able to get them out. But this will be the last uninstall and reinstall of these screws in their lifetime, I believe. Because I got to press down pretty hard to get to them. Alienware mouse mat doing its job here. Ah, no. Yeah, this screw for sure. That's its last time coming out. I've actually never taken apart M59K video module before. I've always just, you know, blown out the dust, give it new bottom thermal pads, and let it be. There's a problem here. This bottom screw here is super stripped. I don't know if it's going to come out. I'll try pushing really hard down on it. Nope, that is in there. Oh well. Looks like I can't fully take the heatsink apart, but thankfully it does seem to be like the heatsink we just saw on the Voodoo Envy with the 7800 card, in that it's not fully screwed together. It looks like I can take off the bottom piece. Yeah, there we go. And can I take out the card itself, or is the card itself now forever a piece of this heatsink? Let's be delicate here. Take it off a corner at a time. And yeah, this video card was recently rebuilt. Fairly recently at least. Some of the pads have some gunk on them. I'll see about replacing them. But overall, it looks like I did not need to do all of that. I am glad I did though, because now we'll have an easier time taking apart the bottom here. I just laid my hand in thermal paste. I'm smart. It looks like here I'm able to take out the whole fan assembly and have a clear heatsink to clean. The video card wasn't being used that much anyways because its drivers were not installed yet. So it was just using software rendering from the processor. So I don't think it was having any temperature issues, but you never know. That's a pretty good way to take off a system fan, isn't it? Ooh, man. I am so glad we took this apart. Look at how bad that is. Not sure how you'll be able to see it on camera, but trust me, that is not good. It is so dirty in there. Only thing this has proven to me is that I need to take all of my future big machines like this apart, like this, to at least clean out the heatsink there. The video card portion is fine. I am not worried about that. But the heatsink, that's a big one. Let's bring back our little painting booth of rubbing alcohol. Spill a little bit on ourselves because we're cool like that. I'll let my hand dry off a little bit before handling anything around here. Shouldn't take too long, it's just rubbing alcohol. Once we get some loaded into the toilet paper brush, we are good to start wiping it down. I cannot believe how dirty this was. This must have been never opened up like this. Instead of breaking a piece off, I'm doubling it up so it can be thicker and not just fly away, break apart. Double up again. Ah, that is disgusting. Let's get a new rectangle of TP. Use a little bit more on this rectangle, because I can tell I'm going to need to do at least a couple more go-arounds on this one. This one is filthy. A little paintbrush here, a little paintbrush idea. It's been the most successful bad idea I've ever had. Try to get in all the nooks and crannies. We are still pulling up dirt like no tomorrow. I think that one's gonna have to break off. We're getting better here. Do another go around all around the perimeter. We're still picking up lots of filth, but it's way better now. There's one chunk in the corner here where the top and bottom heat sinks meet up here. That's my new target. I'm trying not to break off too many toilet paper pieces, because, you know, that's not the greatest thing ever. Now we've got some up in this corner. That's coming out pretty easily, it seems. Would it have been quicker to use a compressed air gun? Maybe, but we never would have gotten the level of clean detail as we would have with our paintbrush thing here. Alright, I'm going to give this a minute to try and get back to you. Alright, I've given it a minute. I've also gone in with a very thin piece to get through some more of the nooks and crannies, and I believe this is about as good as it's going to get. There's still a couple wedged deep in there that I don't think I'll ever get unless I use like a piece of plastic or paper. Maybe I can use this thermal pad thing. That's a little bit too thick. Maybe if I fold it up and try to push it through. Now I need to have something more rigid. A piece of paper. And there's some Silverstone power supply book thing. I'm not using it. I don't even have the power supply anymore, so it will see a new breath of life in getting this old Voodoo Envy back up and running at full steam. We're still a little bit too big here. Now let's try this now. Aha, there we go. Get a little bit away at a time here. I keep laying my hand in that thermal paste. I should clean that off next. Yeah, this idea is working. I'm having a lot of good ideas fixing this computer. It's really working, wow. That's all the biggest chunks out of the heatsink. Maybe there's one more over here. And there we go. Alright, let's go ahead and clear this heatsink of residue. It probably already had Arctic silver on it, but oh well. Alright, use dry toilet paper to help dry that off. Make sure there's no extra thermal paste just laying around. Use a microfiber cloth to make sure we get rid of all the toilet paper fuzz. Should do that to the main heatsink as well. There we go. Okay, so now, because the video card had such good thermal pads to begin with, I believe we just go ahead and throw on a new dose of Arctic silver and hope that it will go back the way it came. Go back together the way it came. And I'll put it on the die here. Only need a little bit. That's probably even a bit too much, but we should be okay. Alright. Make sure that the back shred is clear of any residue, and we will clip it back together. There we go. Once we get it screwed down, that'll be enough for us to fully lock it in place and spread the thermal compound. Now the most difficult task. Let's try to get all the screws back as tight as they can for the reinstall here. I didn't need to take these screws out, I don't believe. But still. Concentration is high. Oh my gosh. There we go. Just got to use a lot of pressure to make sure they catch and go in as far as they're allowed to go. This screw must be different from the other ones because it's not threading in, so I'll put it into this hole here since it wouldn't come off of the screwdriver. This last screw is being annoying, but I'll deal with it. There we go. And last screw. And then we get to clean off the fan. Yay. Alright, that's that done. We will leave that there. The fan's not too dirty, you know, compared to what we have been seeing here. My my little paint area here has dried up almost. Refill it. Big fan. Not too hard to get in between the blades with this one. There's also fewer blades, it looks like, so yay for convenience. And there we go. That fan is looking pretty good already. Just make sure some of the backside and underside of the fan here get some cleaning. Alright, we'll let that dry out for a moment. In the meantime, let's shift our focus back to the processor area. Let's go ahead and get this back to being clean. Like dab the whole thing in. Just make sure we get all the old paste off the processor. Again, it does seem to be fairly well taken care of, this processor with at least a few pieces of evidence of being repasted in the past. So that's good that it was, you know, made sure I didn't go crusty. That does seem to be a pretty dirty looking processor, and I don't know why. I'm gonna give it another go over. Even more because we are still getting results. Yeah, we're still getting results there. Must have been dusty in here or something. There we go. Dry toilet paper just to go over. Microfiber cloth. Make sure no toilet paper pieces stay in here. Okay. Ready for some new Arctic silver. I suppose first we should screw the fans back into the heatsink. Heatsink should be thoroughly dry by now. Maybe not. Hang on. Alright. Should be good now. Double check the fans that they're pretty good. See that they're not the greatest they could be. Go over them once again. Dust loves to stick to these fans, I can tell. I guess, what are you gonna do? Alright, this fan pretty clearly goes in this way. It's still my screw bit. And last screw for the small fan. The big fan will be more difficult because it's not got as clear cut a path for the wire to come out, you know? Because, like, did the wire come out the bottom here? Or did it come out the side here? Yeah, take a look at the bottom orientation. Yep, the bottom orientation is the way to go. That's where it lines up to its fan header right there. So, good thing we checked that out. And didn't do a stupid thing in putting it in the wrong way and having to take the whole assembly apart and repaste it and all that. Yep, that's all in. I am going to clear the workbench here. It's getting quite messy. And just go over the heatsink mount once more. Just to ensure that it's clean. Okay. Use the dry side of this. Make sure it's all dry. Go over the entire bottom of the heatsink here to clear the area of TP debris. And there we go. Now we should be ready to put on the new thermal paste here. Alright, we will go ahead also add a brand new little thermal square on the chipset. Perfect. I'm going to double check now to make sure I don't need to put any more thermal pads on any of the other VRM components, because this small fan shoots her out the back and out the front to cool the VRMs both in front and in back of the chipset. So, looks like we are ready. Arctic Silver. I'm thinking a very thin line will do. There we go. Very nice. Alright, we're gonna have to first just make sure that there's no dust in the way down here. Just cause you never know, it could be really dirty. I won't do a full rubbing alcohol clean there because there could be important details right beneath, so it wouldn't be a good thing to go throwing rubbing alcohol all at these components. And there we go, we've got the heatsink lined up. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in so that we can just get right to screwing them down. I'm going to swap screw bits to one a little bit bigger to make sure I don't accidentally strip out these screws. I'll start with this one down a little bit, just enough to catch. Same for that one, and now these two in the opposite corners. Should be even easier, assuming the screw wants to cooperate with me here. Alright, I'll start. I'll resume now by turning each screw in just one or two at a time to get a good even spread. And there we go. Now, because there is a missing screw by the VRM, maybe we weren't getting a good contact before. I'm going to see if this extra screw I've got from the donor D900T machine that I used to fix the Envy, or the white Envy, will work here. If it'll cooperate. No, it will not. Okay. I will try to use a smaller screw if there is one. Because I really would like to get that fully depressed so I can get good contact. It's not looking like I have a better choice. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and resume the heatsink assembly by putting the video card fan back in place and reinstalling the video card. Thankfully this one's no guesswork. You just put it in and screw it up. Tighten them loosely for now so that I can give some freedom for the shroud to wiggle. Make sure all those screws get into their spot, and then I'll tighten it all the way down. Alright, with all them installed now, finish tightening them. And there we go. Now, because this is a fresh install of thermal paste, I will need to put the screws in one corner at a time. And I'm orientating the computer this way so that I can put the fan plug in first. Otherwise it will be really difficult to get to. There we go. Sneak it in there. And there we go. Alright. Make sure it's pressed installed. Because there's no springs, I just gotta screw it in just about all the way. And then I'll do the last half turn or so. To fully tighten it. Now all the way down with that last one in. And there we go. Let's go ahead and get these fans plugged back in. That's that one. The small one's being annoying here. There we go. Okay, now let's see what to do here. I have an idea that might work. If I take the little piece that the screw screws into and have it already screwed into its spot on the bottom here, and then dip it in super glue, will it stay in that spot? I don't know. Let's find out. I'll screw that down about as good as it can. Okay, I think that will work. I'm thinking about it. Maybe no, it won't. Maybe it'll just super gluing it now will just keep it permanently stuck to this screw, and I can never get it out the same again. So nope, my original idea is superior, of having some toilet paper beneath the point here, using some super glue to get it back in place. So that will be the conclusion to this video of me prepping the system for super glue. I'm going to be using a good amount of padding here. I'm going to try to crush her way down here to fit beneath the screw. Maybe I used too much padding. Well, let's try this way. Oh well, I'll figure it out. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do go ahead and leave a like, favorite, comment, share, and of course don't forget to subscribe for future updates on this machine. Thanks, Gambia. I'll see you in the future.